All right, guys. Today we're going to talk about the cell organelles and parts of the cell. So, your essential question for today is what is the function of organelles in the cell? So, the work of life. What jobs do cells have to do for an organism to live? Well, in order for you to live, you need to breathe. To breathe, you have to exchange oxygen in and carbon dioxide out. You have to eat. You have to take in food and digest the food. You have to make energy through the process of ATP. You have to build molecules such as protein, carbohydrates, fats, nucleic acids. You have to remove waste. You have to control the internal conditions through the process of homeostasis. You have to respond to the external environment. And you have to build more cells for growth, repair, reproduction, and for development. Now, your cells have three main jobs. They're either going to make energy, they're either going to make proteins, or they're going to make more cells. So they have to make energy that's going to allow for you to function. You need the energy to clean up waste produced while making energy. You have to be able to make proteins. Proteins do all the work of the cell. You have to make more cells for growth to replace damaged and diseased cells. All right. Organelles basically do all the work of the cells. Each structure has a job to do. They keep the cell alive, and basically it keeps you alive. So this cell works like a little city. Every organelle has a part to do. All right, let's first start off with the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is basically the jelly-like fluid that we see here, which is located inside of the cell. Okay, most organelles are going to float within the cytoplasm, and it allows for the chemical reactions to take place within your cell. Cells need power, so the organelles that are responsible for making energy to fuel daily life and growth, the cell must take in food and digest it. It has to take in oxygen. It has to make ATP, and it also has to remove waste. So the organelles that do this work include the cell membrane, the lysosomes, vacuoles and vesicles, mitochondria. All right, first off, the cell membrane. The function of the cell membrane is to separate the cell from the outside. It controls what enters and leaves the cell. So some examples of items would include oxygen, carbon dioxide, food, water, nutrients, and waste. And what it does is it recognizes signals from other cells, which allows for communication between the cells. So why is this important? Well, if something enters your body which shouldn't be in there, these cells recognize and can send signals to each other that there's an invader inside of the cell. That then can trigger your immune system to respond with antibodies and will protect you. The structure of the cell membrane is made up of a double layer of fat called the phospholipid bilayer, and it has these receptor molecules called proteins. And these proteins here allow for communication, and they also allow for molecules to enter into and out of the cell. We also have what are called vesicles, and vesicles are responsible for moving materials around the cell for storage. They're made up of these membrane-bound sacs that either come from the ER or from the Golgi. So these here are our vesicles. The next ones we have are vacuoles, and vacuoles help to store food, water, waste, and some colored pigments. Vacuole, as you can see, is much larger inside of a plant cell, and that's because they actually hold a lot more water. What a plant cell has different that we don't have is a cell wall. So this cell wall enables this cell to become filled with water. So the vacuole will swell and shrink with water supply. Plants, like we said, have a large central vacuole as we see it as pictured. Animal cells, your vacuoles are scattered a little bit more throughout the cell. And this is what we would see here. Here's a central vacuole here. Here's a food vacuole. And here's some other vacuoles found in parameciums. All right, the next ones are the lysosomes. Lysosomes help to digest food, and they clean up and recycle digest broken organelles. So lysosomes are similar to the stomachs of the cell, and basically they're made up of membrane sacs with digestive enzymes. So as we see here would be a lysosome, and inside of here it's made up of these acids. And these acids here help to break down molecules that are waste products found within the cell. A job for the lysosome, so why they're important. Lysosomes aid in development, and as we see here, if I look at these two fetuses, I have one at 6 weeks and one at 15 weeks. Notice their fingers. Okay, this one barely has fingers here, and this one we can start seeing fingers. Well, what has happened? Basically, what has happened here is the lysosomes have been programmed to die. Because they've been programmed to die, it separates these fingers. See? Here, finger buds, here, fingers. In some instances, though, the lysosomes don't program. And if they don't program, then they don't explode and send out the acids. In this case, we could see here where these fingers stay connected. Okay? The fingers stay connected, they never separate. And sometimes we have humans or individuals that are born with connected fingers. Okay.